Let's start. Today is World Water Day. Every year on March 22nd, World Water Day is observed to highlight the importance of fresh water and promote its sustainable management. According to UNESCO, today, that is March 22nd, serves as a call to action to address global water challenges, aligning with Sustainable Development Goal 6. Ensuring water and sanitation for all by 2030. As we mark this occasion, we have to explore the richness and greatness of sustainable management of water resources. According to United Nations, 2025 World Water Day theme is Glacier Preservation, emphasizing the critical role glaciers play in supplying fresh water, regulating the Earth's climate, and sustainable life. The United Nations said, the World Water Day, we must work together to put glacier preservation at the core of our plans to tackle climate change and global water crisis. The idea of Water Day was first introduced in the year 1992 during the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in Rio de Janeiro. Following the conference, March 22nd was officially designated as World Water Day. The first World Water Day celebrated in the year 1993, and from 1993 onwards we are celebrating World Water Day, and this year marks 32nd anniversary of World Water Day. This year marks 32nd anniversary of World Water Day, and we should know what is glacier preservation. Glacier preservation involves many proactive methods and measures to safeguard and sustain glaciers, which play a vital role in global water resources, climate regulation, and biodiversity. Addressing climate change and its impact on accelerated glacier melting is essential to this effect. Because of the melting of glaciers, sea levels are increasing and many islands are being submerged. Many low-lying islands are being submerged. So, glacier preservation is a theme for World Water Day 2025. Next important news that is coming up from Ministry of External Affairs. India and Canada are looking to rebuild their strained relationship with Ministry of External Affairs, stating that the 2 years downturn with respect to India-Canada relations are now being repaired, and we are going to have a good phase in India-Canada relations. In a media briefing, Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randir Jaiswal expressed hope that the two nations, that is India and Canada, can re-establish their relationship based on mutual trust and sensitivity. We all know that in the last 2 years, there are many episodes with respect to extremist and secessionist elements in India, that is Khalistani elements, getting support from Canada. And now we are trying to rebuild our relationship. Particularly, you have seen how Justin Trudeau, the former Prime Minister of Canada, have made unnecessary and ill-informed allegations on India. So this is an important thing which we need to understand. And we have the new Prime Minister of Canada, Mr. Carney. Under his Prime Ministership, I think things will go fine between India and Canada. Texas becomes the third American state to formally recognize Holi after Georgia, New York. Holi Festival. Texas is the third American state to formally recognize Holi after Georgia and New York. The Texas Senate has passed its first ever resolution recognizing Holi, officially acknowledging the Hindu festival of colors as a significant cultural celebration. With this move, the Texas have become the third state after Georgia and New York to recognize Holi as an official festival. The resolution was introduced by the Texas Senator Sarah and passed just before Holi celebrations in India. It highlights Holi's cultural and spiritual significance, celebrating spring, renewal, unity, and triumph of good over evil. The resolution marks a key milestone in recognizing the growing cultural contributions of Indian American community across Texas. So this is the most important news with respect to Holi being recognized as an official festival in the Texas state. You all know that in Texas, we have a good number of Indians particularly in the places like Dallas and other places. We have good number of Indians, and Texas state officially recognizes Holi as a festival. And other news that is coming up, Japan's space debris. What is space debris? Space waste. Japan's space debris company or Japanese space debris firm Astroscale is going to tie up with India's Digantara, Bellatrix Aerospace. Japan's Astroscale, a company specialized in removing orbital junk, has agreed with Bengaluru-based space company Digantara and Bellatrix Aerospace to collaborate on technology and services. The ties up will hopefully result in an orbital services bid for Indian clients in 1 or 2 years, which would mark Astroscale's first operation in Asia Pacific outside its home. Astroscale, which is a Japanese firm, is working with JAXA, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, to demonstrate a commercial debris removal mission in 2027. So, Astroscale is going for commercial debris removal mission in 2027. Space junk or space debris is a major problem. As more and more countries are launching space satellites and other things, removal of space debris is an issue. For that reason, there are many firms that are coming up for commercially removal of space debris. With this respect, in Japan, there is a company called Astroscale, and that company is collaborating with India's Digantara and Bellatrix Aerospace. This is the news. Germany, France and UK calls for immediate return to Gaza's ceasefire. They want immediate ceasefire. The foreign ministers of Germany, France and UK called for an immediate return to a Gaza ceasefire as Israel's military pressed its renewed attacks on Palestinian territory, particularly on Gaza. Israel began a fresh assault last week on the war-battered Gaza small enclave, shattering the lives of even innocents, including children. The resumption of Israeli strikes on Gaza marks a dramatic step backward for the people in Gaza. We were shocked by the civilian casualties and children deaths, and there is an urgent call for immediate return of ceasefire. UK, Germany and France have given a statement. The joint appeal came after Israeli Defense Minister threatened that he is going to annex Gaza Strip if Hamas did not release the remaining Israeli hostages who are with Hamas. So this is the issue. So Israel should fully respect the international law and allow flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Israel fully respect the international law and should allow flow of aid into the Gaza territory. Next important news. Supreme Court questions food security inequality in India. The Supreme Court of India raised serious concerns regarding the disparity between reported economic growth and high poverty levels in various states. On March 19, 2025, Supreme Court Judge Justice Suryakant noted that the contradiction of states claiming high per capita income while 70% of their populations live in below poverty line. The public distribution system, the PDS system in India, is intended to provide subsidized food grains to the needy. However, the court expressed doubts about its effectiveness. Justice Suryakant brought into light issues such as corruption and mismanagement in PDS, which is hindering the food distribution to the beneficiaries. The Supreme Court emphasized that the poor have a fundamental right to adequate food under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. This is the headline. The poor have a fundamental right to adequate food, Article 21. So this is very important. Under National Food Security Act 2013, almost 81% of the Indian population was covered. However, the Supreme Court pointed out that many migration workers remained outside the food security net, especially post-COVID when unemployment have increased. Especially post-COVID when unemployment have increased. The other news that is coming up, World Meteorological Organization recently released the State of Climate 2024 report. It revealed that carbon dioxide levels reached 420 parts per million in 2023. This is the highest concentration in the last 8 lakh years. Alongside carbon dioxide, other greenhouse gases such as methane, nitrous oxide also hit record levels. These increases have led to the unprecedented temperature rises. The year 2024 marked climate milestone. The global mean near surface temperature was 1.55 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial averages. This is the first time annual temperatures exceeded 1.5 degrees threshold set by the Paris Agreement. So this is a thing. So World Meteorological Organization State of Climate Report 2024 is saying carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, methane levels have hit new records, and for the first time in the last decade, if you can see the averages, the temperatures rise 1.55 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. This is the first time it got increased. So there are many effects. We will make a detailed report on this in a separate video on this. Coming back, there are two important things that are coming up in this. One is honey trap in Karnataka. Almost it is alleged that 48 legislators in Karnataka Assembly, including few ministers, got honey trapped. In Karnataka, the episodes of honey trap are not new. And in fact, last year also, there's an episode of Prajwal Revana where he trapped many women. And here it is a honey trap. Women are trapping the males. Honey trap is the females trapping the males for some political motive or influence for some personal motives. So most of the ministers are also under the honey trap. There is a news that politicians, MLAs, judges and high-profile individuals were honey trapped in Karnataka. And yesterday, BJP MLAs in Karnataka, they demanded CBI probe, and they were suspended from Assembly also, Karnataka Legislative Assembly also. Karnataka CM ensured that there will be a high-level committee to probe against this honey trapping issue in Karnataka. There's a big news that is coming up from Karnataka. Coming back, Supreme Court says judge's transfer is not related to rumors. See, Justice Yashwant Verma, there was a fire incident in his house 2 days back. In that fire incident, the fire authorities have found that it is alleged that they have found cash, many cash bundles in his house. The rumors actually spread across social media. And now, yesterday Supreme Court Collegium have transferred him to Allahabad High Court. And Supreme Court said the transfer is not related to the rumors that were being spread. The Supreme Court issued a statement that misinformation and rumors are being spread with regard to an incident at the residence of Delhi High Court Judge, Justice Yashwant Verma, compelling the Apex Court Collegium to transfer him out. The statement from the Supreme Court came after a report from a newspaper and online media reports that a huge pile of cash was recovered when a fire broke out in his house in Delhi. The press note issued by Supreme Court while confirming the existence of the proposal to transfer the Judge Yashwant Verma stated that this transfer was unconnected with the in-house inquiry procedure into the incident. Is Allahabad High Court a trash bin? Asked Bar Association. Responding to the proposed repatriation of Justice Yashwant Verma, the Bar Association asked a question: is Allahabad High Court a trash bin? So you are sending the people who are not required, on whom some allegations are made, to Allahabad High Court. Is Allahabad High Court a trash bin? This is a question that was asked. And next important news: 108 betting sites blocked in Telangana, geofencing technology applied. A total of 108 illegal betting websites have been blocked in Telangana, while 133 India-based platforms have been served notices to restrict access in Telangana. Geofencing technology has been implemented to prevent users from accessing these platforms, and 42,000 awareness programs were conducted by Telangana Cyber Security Bureau. Following cases against actors and social media influencers promoting online betting platforms, the Cyber Security Bureau in Telangana issued a public advisory citing strict legal actions against those found playing, promoting or facilitating online gambling. Many of these betting websites operate from foreign jurisdictions and also making it difficult for the victims to recover the lost money. According to the Telangana Cyber Security Bureau, online betting apps often lure users with promises of easy money and high returns, but ultimately result in them losing money. So this is a story. Here you should know a fact. The fact is all about. Here you should know a fact. The fact is all about geofencing technology. What is geofencing technology? Geofencing means creating virtual geographical boundaries not to allow certain sites or data to enter into that virtual space. Even China is known for creating virtual boundaries. So Telangana state creating certain firewalls. Telangana state right now for certain platforms which are promoting betting apps, Telangana state geofenced or Telangana state used geofencing technology to block those websites or areas. There's a news that is coming up. Researchers at the ARMUDA, that is Advanced Research Unit on Metabolism, Development and Aging of TIFR, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, said that consumption of sugary beverages causes obesity, diabetes. Sugary beverages causes obesity, diabetes. The researchers gave a mice 10% sucrose water to mimic chronic human sugar beverage consumption and later conducted a detailed analysis of molecular, cellular and metabolic responses in multiple tissues including liver, muscles and small intestine, etc. So finally they have discovered that this consumption of sugary beverages causes obesity, diabetes and other health problems in the humans also. So this is a very important study using a preclinical mouse model that closely mimics human consumption patterns. They showed that a regular intake of beverages will lead to many diseases, alter our physiological, molecular and metabolic processes across various organs in the human body. So particularly diabetes, obesity and other metabolic disorders. So should not drink so many sugar beverages. So even fruit juices, we should not add much sugar. Otherwise we will become obese. This is a big news that is coming up from Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh government announces new scheme for special incentives for Maoist-free panchayats to encourage surrenders. In Chhattisgarh's Bastar district, the state government announced a new scheme offering construction works worth 1 crore rupees and other incentives for Maoist-free panchayats. Chhattisgarh government announced that under Elvad Panchayat Abhiyan, a panchayat would have to facilitate the surrender of every resident of its constituent villages who was involved in Naxal activities. Following this, the village will get a proposal declaring itself as Maoist free. Then, the construction works worth rupees 1 crore will be immediately sanctioned to that panchayat. Along with this, a mobile network facility will be made available in that panchayat for installing a tower or transmitting it from nearby tower. Electricity connections will also be provided. Until the power connection is done, solar lights will be made available. So, if you make your residents with Naxal connections or Naxal activities surrender, that particular village will get 1 crore rupees construction works, mobile towers, electricity connections and other programs under Elvad Panchayat Abhiyan. Under Elvad Panchayat Abhiyan. Chhattisgarh government also said, Naxalites who have been laid down arms will be imparted skill development training and allotted lands and houses under PM Housing Scheme. Many other provisions including financial aid have been included in the new policy. So yesterday we have seen there's a very big encounter in Chhattisgarh Bastar region. 30 Maoists were killed and government launched Operation Kagar, and under this government is planning to end the Naxalism, to make Maoism free Chhattisgarh and Mao free India. Coming back, next important news, Hindu paper editorial, India-New Zealand relations, star mark. As you all know, New Zealand Prime Minister Mr. Christopher Luxon was a chief guest to our Raisina Dialogue, 10th edition of Raisina Dialogue. He has made 4-day visit to India. At the 10th edition of Raisina Dialogue, the visiting New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, as a chief guest of Raisina Dialogue, outlined 3 major geopolitical shifts shaping the world. He has outlined 3 major geopolitical shifts shaping the world. the replacement of rules with power, the rise of security over economic considerations, and move from trade efficiency to protectionism, and resilient supply chains among trusted partners. See, he has given very good ideas. The replacement of rules with power. No rules, only power. Till now, economic considerations are very important. Now, rise of security over economic considerations. The rise of security over and economic considerations, and a move from trade efficiency to protectionism. In this context, Mr. Christopher Luxon suggested that India and New Zealand, despite the size disparity, could be ideal partners. India is a big country, New Zealand is a small country. Despite the size disparity, they could be ideal partners. Both are democracies. They share an interest in ensuring freedom of navigation in the Indo-Pacific. They share an interest in ensuring freedom of navigation in the Indo-Pacific. And you all know that in Quad, there is in Quad membership, New Zealand have no place. India, America, Australia, Japan. So New Zealand is not a part of Quad and does not seek membership. New Zealand is not a part of Quad and does not seek membership. Mr. Luxon noted that ongoing dialogue among New Zealand, Australia, Japan and South Korea on regional issues. Following the talks with Prime Minister Modi, the two countries have signed MOU to enhance military cooperation, staff college exchanges and naval port calls. They also agreed to talk on FTA. So talks might start very soon with respect to India and New Zealand free trade agreement, aiming to expand their modest bilateral trade. You know, the present trade between India and New Zealand is just $2 billion. The present trade between India and New Zealand is just $2 billion. However, challenges remain, particularly around the market access for dairy and agricultural products, while contributing to India's decision to exit RCEP. You all know that India exited from RCEP in 2020. Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership talks in 2020. So in RCEP, New Zealand is a member. New Zealand and China trade. Do you know what's the New Zealand and China bilateral trade? $24 billion. Whereas India and China bilateral trade is just $2 billion. And connectivity between the India and New Zealand, particularly with Air India and Air New Zealand, signing a code share agreement that might increase direct flights by 2028. So that might lead at first direct flight. We don't have direct flight to New Zealand. We don't have direct flight to New Zealand. Despite positive tones, Mr. Narendra Modi voiced concerns with respect to anti-India activities by certain elements in New Zealand, referring Khalistani protests in New Zealand and other issues. And Mr. Christopher Luxon, particularly New Zealand's commitment for free expression with respect to international issues, and around 3 lakh Indian diaspora are present in New Zealand. So India and New Zealand are two democracies, wanted to have some fair Indo-Pacific trade and Indo-Pacific navigation, and more importantly, they want to enhance their trade. So as IR students, if you could replicate this article in the exam, you will get good marks. The positivities, opportunities and challenges with respect to India-New Zealand relations. This article is more than enough if you could write in the exam. If you see COP30, the COP30 summit is going to be held at Brazil this year. COP30 of UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Summer have arrived in many parts of India. In the last week of February, heat waves were officially reported in Goa, Maharashtra. States such as Odisha, Telangana and Maharashtra have already recorded temperatures exceeding 40 degrees Celsius. Throughout the February, 31 states and UTs experienced night temperatures at least 1 degree Celsius above normal. So, the temperature rise, heat wave conditions in the states, many states in India is a cause of concern, and COP30 summit is going to be held at Brazil in November, and global efforts to combat climate change should actually result in some good outcomes in Brazil, at least we should hope. We should hope in COP30 November summit. There's one more important news with respect to IR. Charting a route for IORA under India's chairship. IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association. There's a group called IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association. IORA, Indian Ocean Rim Association, is an apex regional organization that promotes open regionalism between the countries Asia, Africa and Australia connected with Indian Ocean waters. And India is now going to become chairman to IORA. This year you can expect a question on this because India is spearheading Sagar, security and growth for all in the region. The headquarters of IORA are at Mauritius, very close to St. Louis, but the place is called Ebene, very close to St. Louis. Geostrategically, Indian Ocean region is a subset of major Indo-Pacific, but Indian Ocean region has its own uniqueness. The Indian Ocean, home to 2/3 of humanity, has a rich and diverse marine life. It also transports 75% of global trade and 50% of daily oil consumption. And security, maritime security near Indian Ocean is also very important, and India is going to chair IORA this year. And how India is going to lead IORA by protecting the security, safety and maritime freedom, navigation freedom for all the countries who are traversing through Indian Ocean.
కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్ సంబంధించి ప్రత్యేకంగా సివిల్ సర్వీసెస్ ఎగ్జామ్ సంబంధించి ఏ ఆప్షన్ చూస్ చేసుకోవాలి, ప్రిపరేషన్ ఎప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ చేయాలి, ఏ బుక్స్ రిఫర్ చేయాలి, ఇలాంటి డౌట్స్ ఉంటే CSBIS అకాడమీని కాంటాక్ట్ అవ్వచ్చు. దీనికి సంబంధించి నా పర్సనల్ అపాయింట్మెంట్ ఈ వీడియో పైన డిస్ప్లే అవుతున్న కాంటాక్ట్ నెంబర్కి ఫోన్ చేసి తీసుకోవచ్చు.